Healing is possible, even for people who were conditioned in childhood to dissociate when they were totally gaslit, that when bad things were happening, no, they're not actually happening. So I got a follow-up letter this week from someone who wrote to me almost a year ago. And she had this problem. She was in a relationship with a partner who was constantly lying, and she was having trouble making sense of it. She was rationalizing it. She was explaining it away. And I gave her some of my signature tough love. And I learned this week what happened when she followed some of my suggestions and made some positive and really powerful changes in her life. So I called her Isabel, and I'm going to read this happy letter with her success story. But let me start by just giving you a few highlights that I pulled from me responding to her first letter 10 months ago or so. All right, partner and you both have CPTSD, very confusing relationship, but we seem to be finally understanding it. I would say, no, maybe not. Okay, because you're confused. Okay. In the beginning, we moved too fast, had sex too soon, said I love you too soon, and believed in a fantasy future that we've spent years trying to create. We both played the part of the cool, laid-back, it's all good partner with no boundaries or expectations, all right? So there it is. That's why I called you the cool girl, because you tried. And you say he did it too, only it seems like maybe he's succeeding at being in that role, and you're not. You're miserable. And I would be too, just telling you now. We thought it was pure acceptance, and it felt like the antidote to the control, neglect, and abuse we had both experienced, not only in our childhoods, but also in adult romantic relationships. And you know, you don't say what this was that you guys were so cool about, but I'm guessing it has to do with sex with other people. That's what it sounds like to me. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. So, in fact, maybe the more we felt something was off, the more we pushed to keep going. I went into hyperactive detective mode, trying to get answers and piece things together and uncover issues that I knew were festering. He retreated into dishonesty, emotional affairs, and secretive friendships, even traveling across the country more than once to meet up with a female friend from college in secret. That's terrible. This confusion that you have, I'm just going to start by just validating what he did was terrible. It would be very rare that any relationship would ever recover from that. But the reason this has gone on so long without either breaking down or you leaving or him leaving is because you put up with it, okay? Is because you are willing to participate in this gaslighting of you, that what's actually going on is just good communication and openness and, acceptance. But that's not what's going on. He's actually lying to you about it because it's not okay with you. But you've accepted this idea that he just prefers friendships with friends, with females. That's just all it is. Is that okay? You don't want to pathologize it? Well, I wouldn't pathologize it if that's what it is. But friends don't secretly meet across the country. That's not what friends do. And that's not how they treat their partners. So you said, I know that's how he stayed safe growing up, but I stayed safe being the investigator. So here you are, very cleverly taking psychology and trying to explain, well, he stayed safe by lying and cheating on people. That's not safety. And I don't think that's, no, I don't think so. I think that's what he's doing now. And you say, I stayed safe by being the investigator. So this is not some fancy dynamic. You're being the investigator because you're being lied to, and it always sits wrong with you, and the gaslighting isn't 100%. There's this 10% of you that goes, wait a second, this is a lie. I need to know what's going on. That's rational. That's rational. That's not you staying safe. It's not you acting out or anything. He doesn't think there's anything wrong with friendships with women. I don't either. Nobody does. It's the secret affairs with them, okay? I don't want to pathologize his preference. I can't believe it's healthy considering what he comes from. So here's another trick you're doing where it's not healthy because of where he comes from. It's not healthy because of you, because of your existence, because of the need to have secrecy and lies and damage your safety and security and your heart and your well-being in order to have his cake and eat it too. He wants to see these other women. He wants you to be with him. He knows he can't have both, so he lies. And who even knows what he tells the other women? Who even knows? I know this is going to hurt, Isabel, because you've got this whole psychological cool girl. It's like, oh yeah, but psychologically, with his parents, he kind of has to have affairs, and you've talked yourself into it. This is you gaslighting yourself. that you feeling really bad about this and uncomfortable and angry is somehow, it's just like you being unsupportive or lacking compassion. And that is gaslighting yourself. The trauma, being treated bad as a kid, you get this superpower to fit yourself to any unacceptable situation and to just sit there and blame yourself, to doubt yourself, to pathologize yourself rather than to recognize what's happening for what it is. And there's this healed you, who deep down inside, you totally know this is going on. You said that what he's doing ignites a deep insecurity that comes from how perfect you had to be during the years of abuse. That's not where it comes from. You may have been abused. You may have had to be perfect. That may keep you lying to yourself about what's really happening, but your insecurity is coming because it's not secure. It's inherently, genuinely insecure to be in a partnership with somebody who's lying and having affairs. You had said, when we sit and talk about this, it's mature and open. It's not open, he lies. And there's a willingness to keep trying. Yes, you are willing to keep trying. It's mature. So mature, I think what you mean in this context, I can picture it. I've been the cool girl before. Mature means I'm not being emotional. I hear you, honey. I hear that you're seeing secretly all these other women and they're just friends. I hear you. And we're just being open. But that's not it. That's you switching off your conscience, your intuition, your needs, your emotions, your special part of you that you have to give in a relationship. You're switching it off and devaluing yourself so that it will fit with somebody who doesn't value you. All right, so you got the picture of what was happening in Isabel's life back then. So this week, we got a follow-up letter from her, and she wrote, "Dear Anna, I wrote to you in February, and you published my letter in a YouTube video. You called me Isabel. I wanted to send you an update to thank you because the clarity I got from your feedback and the comments section changed my life. I'm baffled at how clueless I actually was when I wrote that letter, and in rereading it now, I can see how I was defending and excusing my ex even while he was ripping me apart. I was reaching out for help, but wanting to deny the reality at the same time, maybe even hoping you would tell me it wasn't what I thought it was. I broke up with him around the time of that letter because I couldn't tolerate all the women, the lies, the secret friendships and relationships, the constant running away, and general disregard for me. When I did my snooping back then, I found that he had made a very big effort to travel across country more than once to see a female friend and hide it in a way that was more clever than I even thought he was capable of. Yet, I planned my own birthdays that he barely could muster the energy to be interested in. I also found a picture of him and an old girlfriend that he had been carrying around since 1996, and a letter from another female pen pal, quote, inviting him to be polyamorous. I confronted him on all of it, and his response was the same. "Oh, dopey me, I didn't realize, I didn't know, I forgot I even had that, it wasn't me, etc." That confused me further because he really was the absent-minded professor type with advanced degrees and a high-level position who would go to work with his shirt on inside out and backwards and have a humble peanut butter and jelly sandwich every day for lunch. He was affectionate, gentle, pragmatic. I could not make my mind understand what a dangerous person he really was. I had never heard of a covert narcissist before someone mentioned it in the comments section of that video, and I was unable to see him the way you saw him from that letter. It still took me several more months to realize who he is. The day before he moved back to our hometown, a few weeks after we had broken up, I asked one last time if he had had a sexual affair with this female friend across the country, and he finally admitted it. Then, after about 30 seconds of looking sad and saying nothing, his demeanor completely changed, and he changed the subject. No apology or remorse or attempt to repair. It gave me chills to see how bizarre he truly was. Yet we continued to work on the relationship after he moved, and 5 months later, I moved back home too and was living with him again. We talked about getting married and we were looking for a house. It didn't actually feel good, but I kept thinking I needed to stick it out and continue to be that unconditional love and support that he had never had. I still believed it would eventually work. I still believed he was who he said he was, not who he showed me he was. 6 days later, while he was out, I started to feel like something was very wrong because he had been lying about a doctor appointment and then admitted he had actually gone to look at a house that I had said I was interested in. And at first he said he went to say goodbye to it. Then he admitted to going to look at it with a real estate agent. So when he left to visit his extremely toxic parents, I snooped again to see if I could find out what was really going on. I thought he might be with the woman he'd had an affair with because she lives close by. I checked his email and found out that he had bought the house. I was so confused and scared and absolutely baffled, and my heart was racing. I couldn't understand what was happening. I texted and called, but he didn't answer, of course. Then I got an email from him, breaking up with me, she says. Truly the best thing he had done in our 5.5 miserable years together, because I was obviously not capable of getting out of this shit show on my own. I was relieved and excited and have been loving being with my friends, getting outside in nature, enjoying my new job, and living on my own. And of course, we tried to keep in touch to continue looking for some answers and closure, and honestly, so that I could continue to be a source of validation for him. But then he asked for financial compensation for having to be emotionally and somewhat financially supportive over the years. And then Isabel says, I poured over $200,000 into building a home and a life together. She says, I put my foot down and called him out on his bullshit, and he said, I am incapable of handling you. Please don't respond. I'm sorry for all of me. I'll leave you alone now. And that was that. Done. Zero contact, as it should be and can only be. But as the reality of what our relationship really was slowly washes over me, I find myself so hurt and furious and even scared that I lived with such a terrifyingly deceptive and dishonest person. He lived other lives with other women while we were together, no doubt telling them that they were who he was in a relationship with. He did nothing but lie, cheat, and deceive, and then blame me for everything in very subtle ways that I'm still realizing in little moments of awareness. It feels like this will go on for a while, and the pain of it is sometimes intolerable. But it's over, and I'm so grateful. If anyone is afraid to leave, like I was, afraid to be on their own and fend for themselves, like I was, or believes that the relationship will get better if you just keep trying, please believe me, there is nothing scarier or more emotionally deadly than a covert narcissist. Nothing. Your viewers are all powerful, valuable humans, which is exactly why the people we write to you about are trying to crush us. They're jealous of how we shine. So thank you for this community, and thank you to all of you for helping me get perspective and stop trying to rescue someone who was destroying me. So much love, Isabel. She also shared with me a photo of a shirt she had made that says, uncool across the front, and I totally want one. Uncool. And the original video was called it had to do with trying to be the cool girl, trying to be cool about being treated this way, and learning to actually get uncool. So she embraced that identity. So good job, Isabel. Thank you so much for sharing with us. If anybody wants to hear the whole of Isabel's original letter and what I told her about it, you can see that video right here, and I will see you very soon.